What is the range on the Mototech 48 Volt Pro? That wasn't a rhetorical question, by the way, do you know? Since I have no idea, we're gonna do a range test today. Not just some boring old range test where you're going back and forth on some flat surface. We're gonna make it a little bit more interesting by going from here to up there. Let's get rolling. But before we get to it, let's actually take a step back real quick and discuss why the range is so unknown. First of all, it doesn't help that Mototech actually provides two different ranges depending on where you look. First, there's the manual, which provides a lot more information and actually has different ranges depending on which battery type you have. Specific to this one that I have, the range is just under 15 miles. However, the website clearly states in optimum conditions the Mototech only has up to 9 miles of range. And 9 miles versus 15 miles is a huge difference. My guess is that the website is being more real-world scenario, while as the manual is being more idealistic, perfect world scenario. But despite that, there's still such a huge difference between those two numbers that I honestly have no guesstimate as to my actual range. And then we have to deal with all the variants on the battery. I won't get into all the specifics, but in general, the battery can be affected by a lot of different external factors. Weather is going to be one of them, and then throttle position, whether or not I have it wide open for a sustained period of time, or if I'm going on, off, all of that has changes to the battery and has a greater percentage difference really in the effectiveness than you would see with something that's equivalently gas powered. So I'm starting this in the early evening, so it's not too hot. It's about, I don't know, 75 degrees give or take, so I'm not worried about battery degradation from the heat. And I'm going into this with the pessimistic side of the range, kind of going with what the website says of 9 miles, give or take. Getting to the peak is 4 miles, giving me a round trip of 8. So I'm gonna be on the pessimistic side and assume that I have just enough battery to get there and back, with the hopes that maybe I'll be surprised and have a few more miles worth of range. So let's talk about the route. As you can clearly see behind me, it's not just some flat grade that I can go back and forth on. There's a little bit more to it than that. Geographically, we got a valley of sorts that we got to go down and across, and then on the other side, a fairly significant hill to climb. We're talking about 1,000 feet in elevation up there. Now where we stand, that's about 250 feet, so we're going to be netting 750 feet incline. And there's going to be a few obstacles in our way, as you can clearly see and probably hear. There is a freeway in the middle of that we got to cross. In addition, there are several twisty roads going through the neighborhood around the hill, and not only that, but several of these roads are private and some just flat out turn into people's driveways, so it could be super confusing to tell whether or not you're actually on someone's property. See, this is what I'm talking about. The road just kind of turns into this, and like, is this a road? Okay, this is clearly not a road, this is just someone's driveway. Get out of here. By the way, I've not scouted this route at all. I've just taken a look at some of the satellite imaging on Google Maps, and I know of a couple of the main roads that I need to keep an eye on. As far as the little roads up there, it's gonna be mostly going by what I think is the right way. Up is the direction that I wanna go. So anything that's up, I'll go that way. Made our first checkpoint, the freeway. All right, main road down. Now we gotta make our way up. This is also gonna be the other challenge of this, in that it's pretty much straight uphill from here. So I know this is gonna have an impact not only on my speed, but of course on the battery, because I'm gonna have to be maxed. And one of the big strains on electric bikes is the battery getting overheated from being at max power. EVs are actually more efficient in start-stop traffic than it is on fast open stretches. So far so good, but you can tell just from hearing the engine whirring away that it's not as fast as I was on the flat bit. Well, here's another one that the road just abruptly stopped, and now it's someone's driveway. I think we're at the point now where the neighborhood stops and the hill starts, but I just need to find one of these offshoots that actually turns into a trailhead. So this road in particular, I think, is ultra private, because not only are there a bunch of signs there saying private property, but there's also what appears to be a bunch of homemade speed bumps. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's just the residents on this street that actually, made these speed bumps and not from the city. Okay, again, we're following this road. Is this a driveway? Or is it not? Okay, got some beautiful views up here. Also a lot of no trespassing signs, so we're gonna keep moving here. I think we have found our trailhead. Just turns into a dirt road, so we get to actually use our dirt tires. Wait, which way do I go? That says no trespassing either. Well, this ended too. I might have to concede and pull up some maps real quick. Well, according to satellite, I should be able to link up with the trails over there through that road. Oh, I think it's up there actually. Can I even get through there though? Okay, this thing is really overgrown. Cactus in the middle of the road. Ah! I did it! Haha, we're free! That's beautiful. We're in the final stretch now. All we got is that final push. That way, more or less. I think I have to follow this trail down a little bit. Hopefully it's not too overgrown. Is that a trail? I might as well try it. I know I gotta go up anyway. This is struggling a bit. This wouldn't be so hard if it wasn't such a tiny bike. But look at this, it's got some torque. Cameras never do inclines justice, but trust me, this is pretty significant. Like, I'm really having to push on the front so it doesn't loop out on me, but it's just trucking. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to get down, at least when it does get stuck. Like I was just there. It's light enough that I can just pick it up and continue on. Starting to struggle a bit. I don't know if it's that it's getting steeper or the battery's draining. There we go. I just gotta get a little bit of momentum going. There we go. Now I found a legit trail. That's more like it. I'm sure I lost a lot of battery going up that because I was just full throttle, and with the engine all under load and everything like that, I'm sure it drained a lot of its juice. This is about averages too, being a range test, so what must come up must go down again. I just need to follow this road down a bit and then hang a left. It's a sign. I have a feeling I have to go that way. That was pretty effortless, I gotta say. I was expecting a little bit more of a struggle with some of these trails. It was a pretty straight up shot. I mean, the stretch was 4 miles, but from the lowest point to the highest point, I wanna say it was about 1.5 miles, really. It gets steep fast. But this thing took it like a champ. Let's get a little status update here. Well, it actually says I have 4 bars, but that's a lie. When I got up here, it was at 3/4, 3 bars out of the 4. Still very unreliable, but I guess we're gonna find that out. So let's turn around, head back down. Well, that trail was just a little hard to find in the brush, so I guess we're gonna take the street route back. We're not gonna have as much, you know, like whacking on the throttle and stuff like that to contend with. But at the same time, I'm going down the south face and I came up the west, so I kind of have to go down and then around. Final stretch still says I have 3/4 of a tank, so we'll see. I have a feeling that we have plenty of juice left. I was coasting so fast that I had this thing pegged and it actually slowed me down. It goes faster coasting than with the actual power of the battery and the motor. That's funny. Well, we made it under the freeway. Final stretch. Just got to go uphill a little bit and we're golden. And actually it just changed to 50% state of charge according to this. So I think we're safe. Here we go. Here's the last steep stretch. We'll see how the battery does now. Oh, it's really struggling. Come on. There you go. You did it. All right, let's do a post-run briefing. Other than the fact that this bike is very dusty right now and my legs are very itchy, this thing ran flawlessly. And let's turn this thing on real quick. And as you can see there, it's still showing 75%. Now, if I were to go run this just down the street and back real quick, a couple hundred feet really, this will drop down to 50%, that's for sure. It was showing much more often 50 than it was 75 on the way back home. So it turns out I got to be pleasantly surprised that I had supposedly a 50% range remaining after that run, and there was a lot of trial and error to that run, so after the fact I decided to map that out to see exactly what my route was there and back again, so I got a total distance of 7.85 miles. So to find out what range was actually remaining, I did the thing that I said I wasn't going to do at the beginning of this video and just simply rode back and forth in a flat grade until the battery eventually died. Well, not exactly. I did a little bit more than that. I actually just plotted out a 1-mile loop around my neighborhood and just did that loop as many times as I possibly could before the battery eventually died on me. Which brings me to the final number, and that final number is 10.96 miles. So we're right in the middle between what the website and the manual claims is the total range, which makes sense and actually something that I would be considering a reliable, consistent mileage based on the type of riding that I was doing. I was not going easy on this bike at all. Like I said before, holding it wide open for a long period of time is going to drain the battery a lot faster than if you had it at a variable speed or just on and off, not so much fully sustained for a long period of time. So I think if we were to do this run again where it was wide open throttle the entire time, we would be looking at something more like the website's claim of 9 miles. Now the high end might be reachable, that 15 miles, but I think I would have to do some drastic changes to my riding style and actually vary the throttle a little bit more and probably even throttle it down with the controls down here, not only the delay on the throttle response, but the speed too. But I don't think I want to do that because what's the point of extending that range to 15 miles if the 15 miles that you're riding are going to be incredibly boring and walking pace? What's the point? But I guess one way to think about it is if you want to try to get a little extra mileage out of this thing, then there are a couple of options that are available to you in stock form. But for me personally, I'm thinking battery.